Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Juana. Thanks to all of you for gathering for this celebration. It's been a lot of fun. I'm having a great time, and I appreciate many of you who've told me that you're enjoying the occasion also, because much of what Berrett-Koehler has accomplished in the world is because of the people gathered in this room. It's because of you that we've been able to make a difference in the world. I want to thank Neil, our editorial director, who's standing right there, just waved in the back. He suggested that I focus this message on the topic of how Berrett-Koehler is pursuing our mission of creating a world that works for all. To help me do so, what has just been handed out to each of you is my newest list. 20 ways BK Books help create a world that works for all. And I knew that some of you would be profoundly disappointed if I didn't come to this meeting for my presentation with a top 10 list. So I knew I had to do something about that. And I started out, coming up with a top 10 list, and the list kept growing and growing. Ended up being a top 20 list. But I think that's fitting for being our 20th anniversary. And if I had more time and more paper, it would have been a top 30 list or a top 50 list. But in this presentation, I'm not going to repeat all of the points, what is on the list. Instead, what I'm going to do is tell a little bit about the message behind the list. Then I'm going to offer a few examples about the points on the list. Creating a world that works for all is an impossibly big and ambitious mission. There is, of course, no way that our little company, or even all the BK community members together, to address even a tiny fraction of that kind of a mission, of the problems and the needs in the world. There are just too many problems and needs. So instead, we focus on selected powerful leverage points to bring about change. Our focus is advancing new ideas that change the underlying beliefs, mindsets, approaches, institutions, and structures that keep generating the same cycles of problems, no matter who our leaders are or what improvement programs we adopt. Our focus is not on change in particular policies or programs or leaders. Our focus is not on winning individual contests or battles. Our focus is not on how individuals or groups can compete better for scarce resources. Instead, our focus is on more fundamental transformation of individuals, organizations, and society. For example, if you take new change methodologies, which is number 2 on the list of the top 20. By the way, I should say that the 20 are not in any particular order. It's sort of as they pour it out of my head in working on the list. It's number 2 on the list. The fundamental transformation here that's being talked about in that new change methodologies is that the traditional dominant ways of changing organizations, communities, and nations were themselves the problem that made most change efforts fail and often make things worse. New change approaches were needed that were inclusive, participatory, whole system, real-time, dynamic, and more effective. And BK Books and authors have led the world in developing and popularizing these new methods. The impact has been huge. Tens of thousands of organizations and communities have been improved by these change methods, which has affected hundreds of millions of people. For example, to focus on future search, which is just one of the 60-plus new change methods advanced in BK Books, Marvin Weisbord, Sandra Janoff, and their colleagues have trained more than 4,000 people worldwide to facilitate future searches, all using Berrett-Koehler books as their guides. These trained facilitators have led many thousands of future searches in more than 90 countries. Each future search has the potential to dramatically transform an organization, a community, or even a nation. For example, the future search on the economic development of the city of Derry, Northern Ireland, spawned a dozen working groups, which grew to involve more than 1,000 people in cultural and economic improvement initiatives, which have benefited more than 150,000 people in Derry. As another example, a series of future searches in IKEA, which is the world's largest home furnishings company, are helping IKEA and its many suppliers to envision how a fully sustainable IKEA would do business, and then to take intensive action to reduce the carbon footprint of 300 stores, 10,000 products from suppliers in 55 countries, and 130,000 staff serving 600 million customers per year. As still another example, UNICEF is now using future searches across Uganda to help stop violence against children in schools and in society. Our BK book, Future Search, has been used to train local facilitators who are currently running implementation conferences in over 90 districts in Uganda. And this is just one method of the 60-plus methods that Berrett-Koehler books have pioneered, have taken the lead on, and that's the impact of that one method. Here's another example that relates to numbers 6, 7, 8, and 9 on the top 20 list. In 2001, David Korten was one of the co-founders of the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies, known as BALI, which was heavily influenced by the ideas in David's books and by the work of other supporters of these ideas, such as concepts of the living economy movement. Today, BALI has grown into an umbrella network of 80 community networks with over 22,000 independent business members across the US and Canada. At each BALI conference, many Berrett-Koehler authors are featured presenters, and through BALI, BK Books are helping thousands of businesses and communities to create greater sustainability, economic justice, and healthier communities. The point is that the more you drill down on any of these 20 ways, the more you drill down on the 20 ways, the more powerful examples you find of how the ideas in BK Books are helping to bring about profound changes to help create a world that works for all. In my estimation, for at least half of these 20 topic areas, BK Books and BK authors are the world leaders in advancing ideas that change the underlying beliefs, mindsets, approaches, institutions, and structures in that area. In the rest, BK Books and BK authors are major contributors. As a result, I would suggest that BK Books and the BK community are having a positive impact in the world equivalent to an organization thousands of times the size of our small company, our small community. I say BK Books and the BK community because this has been a collective effort of thousands of people, including, as I said before, many of you here. I'm continually amazed by how many people aid and advance Berrett-Koehler in many different ways each month. It's been fun and inspiring to be along for the ride with all of you. That's been my feeling about being here today, is it's been fun and inspiring being along for the ride with you. And I say BK Books and the BK community because a good deal of the power of what we are doing is based on our own learning from books and living the values in the books ourselves. When we are the change we seek to promote, that change is more authentic and far-reaching. Now, I recognize, I'm channeling Jeevan right now, I recognize that what we've accomplished so far is only a drop in the bucket of what is needed. Seeing all the conflicts, problems, and despair in the world is a reality shock of how much more there is to do. But I believe that we are on the right course with BK's mission, publications, and community, but we've barely begun the journey. I started to make a list of people to thank for what Berrett-Koehler has accomplished during these 20-plus years, but the list quickly grew too long. So I'm going to thank only one person at this time who doesn't get enough credit, and that's my wife, Kate, who's sitting in the back. Kate stood with me and created with me and encouraged me from the day in May 1991 when I was fired from Josie Bass. And she's continued to encourage me, be part of this, for many months of planning a new business, to many years of sacrifice in launching that business, such as Kate creating my famous home office, building the desk that I still use today, which wouldn't be a surprise to all of you that I'm still using the same desk, and then making do with me the first 17 months without any income, and it goes on and on of her role in all this. So thank you, Kate.